Okay, this video is called All of Nutrition Summarized in 10 Minutes. And so I don't know exactly how long this is going to take. And I'm kind of doing this as a joke because I just made a video about Andrew Huberman, kind of joking that he'll talk for an hour and never say a single useful thing. And the point is, you can say a lot of useful stuff in just 10 minutes, okay? Our physiology is like a herbivore. If you look at our teeth, they're flat like a horse, okay? Dr. McDougall's called us starchivore. Some have called us frugivore. We can eat both. Some people think we started out with color vision so we could recognize when fruits were ripe, and that might be correct. Starch, the most important thing I ever learned, and I've been a doctor over 30 years. Out of everything I've ever learned about health, the most important thing I ever learned is that humans should eat as much starch as they can, pretty much, or just eat a lot of starch. It just works. The reason is starch is a polymer of glucose wrapped in fiber. So the fiber is low caloric density. It stretches your stomach. When your stomach is stretched, you get early satisfaction of hunger. That slows down the drip rate into your intestine. It takes a lot of time to peel off the fiber from your starch such that you get a slow, prolonged absorption from the gut into the blood of glucose, and that keeps you energized and healthy, a normal blood glucose, so you're in the zone. You satisfy your hunger with the lowest number of calories, and this keeps you fit and slim. You get prolonged satiety, satisfaction of hunger with starch. It just works. It's what we're designed to eat. White rice, potatoes and sweet potatoes all have about 1% fat. The lower the percentage of calories from fat, the skinnier the population. As far as the protein contents, they're all pretty low, less than 10%. Sweet potatoes are probably the best food in the whole world because they only have about 4.5% protein. And then again, 1% fat. That's what you want, the lowest possible protein and the lowest possible fat intake. That's what the healthiest populations are associated with, very low fat and protein content. Look at Kempner's diet, super low in fat and protein. Incredible health improvement results there. As far as beans, they got tons of fiber. They satisfy hunger a prolonged amount of time. Lentils are one of the lowest fat beans at 3%. Garbanzos are about 13% fat. People have been interested in oatmeal lately. Oatmeal is a good food. It's still a little bit more fat than these other things at 16%, but for some people that works. It's good to get plain organic oatmeal just in water. You want it to be organic. Okay, fruits are great because otherwise they might spray it with glyphosate. Okay, fruits are great, but they don't satisfy hunger as long as the starches do. Lately, there's been a problem with this stuff. It's especially been on avocados and apples, but it's on other things too, potentially. Potential workaround is frozen, but I'm not sure how good that is. We don't know exactly what this is on. Vegetables, Earthbound Farm claims they don't spray it with any of this stuff. They got some stuff grown in greenhouses. They don't spray anything on it. That seems promising. Natural grocery store does not use this stuff. Farmers markets are a good thing. The more direct you get it, I think it's a good idea to go to those apple picking orchards and pick as many apples as you can and save them for a long time. You avoid this stuff. As far as the fats, sat fat's bad because, especially comes from animal fat, because it inhibits, like complex 3 of mitochondria, causes insulin resistance and eventually diabetes. Does a lot of other bad things too, but that's one key point. Thickens your blood. All fats tend to thicken the blood. Omega 3s, maybe not so much. There's other issues with omega 3s. Omega 3s increase immunosuppression. They increase insulin resistance. They still promote obesity. I don't like immunosuppression. Some people believe that increases your risk of, cancer progression. Monounsaturated fat like an olive oil by itself, that would be kind of nice, but olive oil is not a good food. It's got a lot of sat fat. It's got a lot of omega-6 fat. There's a lot of potential impurities and contaminants, and it's fat. It's liquid fat. All oil is bad for you. Don't have one drop of it, like Caldwell Esselstyn says. Animal protein is bad. I recommend zero intake of it, especially unless you're a 20-year-old athlete trying to grow your muscles faster. It does have a bit of an anabolic effect because it has a higher amino acid composition of methionine and leucine for activation of mTOR. But activation of mTOR, the growth pathway to stimulate cell replication, also increases the rate at which you reach the Hayflick limit, the maximum number of cell divisions, because telomeres are shortening, thus it accelerates aging. You don't want that, okay? Also, the anabolic effect includes raising total cholesterol, thus it has an atherogenic effect, increasing your risk of coronary artery disease and impotence. Okay, animal food, it also tends to have more iron, especially like, let's say, red meat. But you also get increased iron in any type of processed food that's fortified or iron added to it, which a lot of them have. Animal foods often have a lot of estrogenic chemicals given to make the animals grow faster. They're all bad. That's why I recommend zero animal foods. Leaky guts caused by lack of fiber. Animal foods don't have any fiber. Other things that'll cause it are sanitizers in tap water antibiotics, NSAIDs, vegetable oils tend to cause that. If you got leaky gums, you get a similar effect as leaky gut. That's irrelevant because that's the main association with autoimmune disease. Okay. Hypertension is mostly associated with a high-fat diet, causing blood sludge, thickening of the blood, increased blood viscosity, low formation, sticking the red blood cells together, like chylomicrons having a blood thickening effect. That's often referred to as blood sludge. Lack of potassium or magnesium, because those are both vasodilators. Excess sodium, that's a vasoconstrictor, meaning it narrows arteries. So you have to raise pressure to pump through a constricted system. Diabetes type 2 is especially caused by high saturated fat diet, but it's also caused by the same risk factors we just went through for hypertension. SERCA inhibitors, mitochondrial inhibitors also increase your risk of diabetes. Caffeine's an excitotoxin. It increases, basically mimics the hormones of acute stress response, meaning increased catecholamines, adrenaline, noradrenaline, and those increase, and cortisol, those increase glutamate transmission in your brain cells. You don't want that. Simultaneously, it's a vasoconstrictor, dropping blood flow to your brain, let's say in the ballpark of 15%. You don't want that. Decreasing your sleep, that's all bad. Artificial sweeteners, they're all bad. Okay, aspartame's an excitotoxin. Stevia makes people infertile. Soy is estrogenic, goitrogenic. It's high in fat and protein. That's why it's kind of like meat in a lot of ways. Raises insulin-like growth factor. I don't like it. I think it's a toxin. It's associated with GMO. Hexane's a neurotoxin. Flax is super estrogenic, more than soy. I think these are a bad idea. I think soy is subsidized, I predict, because to make people infertile and stupid. Corn's another thing. I believe it's subsidized to make people infertile. Come on, atrazine. It's a real powerful estrogenic. Turns the male frogs into females. It's a mitochondrial toxin. I would put that in the category then of dementogens. Okay, things that make you stupid, along with F minus in the water. It's to make you stupid like a cow and easy to control. Estrogenics can be removed by carbon filters, reverse osmosis filters, distillation. You don't need to drink 8 cups a day of water. That's bogus. That just came along after they started selling bottled water and Gatorade. F minus lowers IQ, increases cancer rate. You can remove it with RO or distillation filters. Mitochondrial toxins, here's a bunch of them. There's a whole bunch more. Most people aren't aware of those. They're usually pretty easy to avoid. For example, trichloroethylene. That's why I don't use dry cleaning anymore. SERCA inhibitors, I just gave some lectures on those. Anything that smells bad is probably a SERCA inhibitor. Many estrogenic chemicals are also SERCA inhibitors. Sarcoplasm, endoplasmic reticulum, calcium ATPase for pumping calcium into the endoplasmic reticulum of brain cells. So anyways, that's a quick summary of some of the key points in nutrition. And how long did that take? Not too long.